Welcome back to another in our series of the parables of Jesus. Our parable today comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30, the parable of the talents. For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I had not sown, and gather where I have scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will be given more, and he who will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. You no doubt remember your school days and classes you attended. Even after all these years, some of you recall how the beginning of the year was easier, relatively speaking, to the end of the semester or the year. At first, the teacher taught remedial aspects and reviewed what you had learned and maybe forgotten. But as the year goes on, the subjects get more and more intense as it nears the end. I have often looked at Jesus' teachings as being that way. Not that some of his aspects of earlier teaching were easy in all cases, but as he continues, the subjects are more and more intense. He speaks of the readiness for judgment, responsibility, and accountability more often. The parable of the talents and the parable of the 10 minas are often confused as being the same by some. In a few lessons, we'll take a closer look at that parable. They both share some common traits, but they are quite different in their meaning. The import of this parable seeks to show that there are those who have been entrusted with a great deal in this life. The man going on the journey is Jesus. We are assured that he will return one day. But as important as that is, what we are shown quite plainly is that whatever we have been given, we are expected to gain with it. Some might say that this is just a little unfair. What if I can't do it? Some may fume. Well, why me? Others may reluctantly say. Or let someone else with more abilities than I have do the work. Others may rant themselves. Well, maybe we ought not to get too far ahead of ourselves here. First things first. The man going on his journey is Christ, and we are his servants. That means he is our master. As such, it is our duty to obey him. Then, in his wisdom, he assigns to us a duty, here represented as a talent, but not haphazardly, but each according to his ability. In the previous parable of the 10 virgins, we see that 5 are waiting, being diligent for the bridegroom, the Lord's return. This parable tells of those who are employed until his return. What is expected of us as we labor? Turns out, plenty. The first two went out immediately and with industrious effort doubled their investment. The third, however, takes a much different and tragic course. His fear of his master caused him to return exactly what he had been given. He did no harm to what he had been entrusted, but he also did no good with it either. For that he was sorely punished. We may be quick to point to others and what they have but don't use, or any other of the host of complaints of fellow Christians. However, what we must realize is we won't be judged by what they do or don't do, only what we have been given. This takes some soul searching. First, to realize we are stewards. Then, to understand that we have something that the Lord demands that we use. I don't know what you have been given. I can only look inward to my own gifts and talents and abilities and ask myself the tough question. Have I been a good steward with what I have been entrusted? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and look at another parable of Jesus.